Hello, everybody, and welcome to the November 9th, 2021 iteration of the Kubernetes SIG-Windows community meeting. As always, these meetings are recorded and uploaded to YouTube, so be sure to adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct. Got some announcements today, mainly around the 123 release cycle, and just like everybody to be aware of. The first one is code freeze is November 16th. That is next Tuesday. Usually they start they actually start to enforce that at midnight of whatever time zone some of the release folks are in. So it's best to get those in as early, like before that, but usually kind of end of business hours. This is a safe bet. Later on, I want to do a collection of PRs that we do think we want to get in, so we can discuss some of those later, just to make sure that we can get reviews and all of those merged. Next is docs. So for any of the enhancements that need documentation updates, which I believe is all 3 of the enhancements that we're tracking, these are some of the deadlines set by the release team. The first one is the release team would like to have draft PRs open for any docs related enhancements by November 18th or next Thursday. They mostly want to see who is going to be opening the PRs so that they can follow them up and keep track of them, and also assign reviewers for those PRs. The next deadline is they want any of the docs PRs to be out of draft state and reviewable by both the subject matter experts and the docs team by November 23rd. That is, I believe, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving for folks in the US, so please be aware of that. And then the last deadline is they want the docs to be reviewed and approved by November 30th. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they need to be merged, because the release team likes to kind of control the flow of some of the merging, but they would like reviews, especially from the content owners and subject matter experts for that. I believe that is the following Tuesday, so the last Tuesday in November. So it's better to kind of open up some of the draft PRs early, just to make sure that these deadlines meet these deadlines. Does anybody have any questions or other announcements they'd like to make?
I just have one question. Maybe I can take it later. This is regarding containerd, where like when we try to pull Windows image in Docker, we increases timeout to 30 minutes or 20 minutes because Windows images are pretty huge, right? So that support, I think the PR I saw, it is still not there in containerd 1.6 beta version. I don't know, like, do we, SIG-Windows people, do we work with them and push it, or how does that flow works?
Yeah, we can quickly cover this. There's some overlap in maintainers for the 2 projects, and we generally kind of work well with each other, but most of the time for containerd PRs, we don't really track the status in these meetings. Some folks like Claudio, and who's on the call, are pretty involved in containerd as well as some other folks who aren't on the meeting today, but like Danny Cantor and Kevin Pearsons are probably the right people to bring.
Okay, can you just type those names? Probably I can in the Slack. I will try to talk to them. That would be really good.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll send you a message with them in a little bit.
I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Okay, I guess next is the PRs and work that we want merged for 123. I'd like to do a quick just kind of pulse on all of the ongoing work to see if like what we still need to merge as a SIG and where we are with all of the enhancements. So I can start. I think I saw that for the host process containers enhancements, all of the PRs that we wanted to make in Kubernetes are done. So we are planning on going to beta.
That merged.
Yeah, Jay also reviewed all the criteria and merged that. So it's gonna be kind of very, very useful for a lot of folks with that. Ravi, are you on the call? Yeah, you are. How is the OS field one going? I saw that 2 of the PRs merged.
Yeah, so both the PRs and the kubelet site got merged. Remember we had a discussion last week around the N-2 version of kubelet may be having some issues. Say if we introduce the feature gate in the kubelet, and kubelet is going to reject certain parts of the OS does not match the operating system on which the kubelet is running. So Jordan initially proposed that this should be merged after N-2 is 125 or 126, depending on when this feature GAs. So I had a discussion with him yesterday, and he suggested another approach where the pod security policies, the pod security standards PR that I have opened can be merged in parallel. For that, what he suggested is have another feature gate. Do not rely on identify pod OS, and make sure that this can actually progress independent of identify pod OS, so that the changes that we are making in the kubelet can also be made independent of the feature gate that we have introduced. So I told him I'm fine with it. So I am working on making those changes. So hopefully I can get them merged before the end of this week.
Okay, yeah. Ping us if you have those changes out.
Sure.
One thing I'd like to just reiterate is if there are PRs for enhancements, please link them back to the enhancements issues. I went and I did that for some of the OS fields too. It just helps the release team know kind of how things are trending too. But
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think there's that one PR, and then for the docs PRs, we did say that this enhancement needed documentation updates, correct?
Yeah, so the docs for the field in the pod spec, it should be available because of Swagger. So that should be good. And I have already opened a PR for the pod security standards based on this field, but it's, I think I opened it against master. I need to change it to 123 branch. I will get to it once I'm done with the existing PR. I should be able to open it before November 18th.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And yeah, docs, all the docs deadlines are after code freeze, so I think prioritize.
Yeah, the other thing is I'll be out next week, so most probably I'll try to get everything done before the code freeze. Okay,
if you need if you're going to be out and things aren't merged, reach out to folks in Slack. So what I've done in the past is, and when I was in that situation, is made other folks kind of contributors on my fork, and then had some folks help get those PRs merged if there's any feedback or merge conflicts. So.
Yeah, Jordan might help like push it through as well. I have understood when I was talking to him, but I'll confirm with him once again, and then we'll see where it goes.
Do we need any updates to kind of the Windows page to just talk about how this might be used?
Yeah, so that's something that I wanted to talk about as part of the docs, but I did not look into the existing state of documentation before I can make recommendation. So since we have like next 2 to 3 days, I'll go through it, and then when I'm opening, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we can revisit that in a future meeting. Okay, any other updates you'd like to give for this enhancement, or should we move on to the?
Nothing as of now. That's all I have.
Okay, the node service log viewer, I saw some more action on that. Arvind or Sebastian? Do either of you have any updates?
So which one is this?
The node service log.
The node log service? Yeah, so Christian and I have been hacking away at it. I don't think it's going to make it this release. The last update we have is we got all the piping working. So the API has been added, all the piping is working. We're now having to test this across Linux and Windows, and I'm at the moment trying to add the heuristics to it. So this is, this is definitely at risk.
Okay.
But I don't want to say we're not going to do it, because I just want to keep the pressure going so that it'll make me and Christian, it'll push us forward to try and get this through. So hopefully what my plan is, I don't want me and Christian to drop the pressure on this, so that at least in the next cycle, we start like reviewing it very early on and just push it through. So that's the plan from us.
Okay. I'll start taking a look at those PRs. We should, even if we're still wanting to keep the pressure up, try and solicit reviewers from the other SIGs that are needed too. And I will try and link the PRs to the enhancements if you guys don't get to it first, just to keep it.
Yeah, it's still pretty work in progressy.
Okay. We will keep just keep up to date on that.
To be clear, Arvind, like you would not need any reviews this week, right? Before 18th or?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
Okay.
If we all of a sudden need reviews this week, like we've just knocked it out of the park then.
Okay.
Okay. I saw that somebody linked, I think these are James's PRs, to a couple of metrics related issues for performance reasons that I think we would like to get merged in 123 as well. If anybody has any other kind of critical PRs that want to land in 123, please either bring them up or add them to the doc here, or just message us on Slack so we can stay on top of them and really push on those.
Mark, should I add the doc PR? I thought given docs have more time, I didn't push on it here.
We can add that here just for completeness. Docs do have more time.
Okay, I'll add it there.
Did you have anything you wanted to say about either of these, James, or just adding them there for tracking? I think that they're
Just adding them in there in case somebody wants to take a look at them.
okay. Next thing is I wanted to ask how folks felt about having or not having a community meeting on November 23rd. It is the weekend or the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, which is a big holiday in the United States, at least. And I wanted to kind of, if people aren't wanting to join, we can give people time off to relax and spend time with family, or if people are here, we can meet. I'm fine either way. Let me know what other people want. If the majority of people aren't going to be here, we can cancel. But if we do need to discuss anything, especially around the docs, we can meet. Anybody have any thoughts?
I guess if anybody has any specific agenda, we should meet. Otherwise, I mean, it's close to the holiday time for everyone, I think, kind of winding down period. So it will be good to give time back. But
Okay.
absolutely, if somebody has anything, I mean, we're all open to meet.
All right, that's good. So I guess we'll cancel if there's nothing on the agenda by the Monday evening. But yeah, I agree. It's kind of important to wind down and just relax. Take a break. Okay, next was the Windows operational readiness kit. I mean, this.
I put residing again the agenda for us to as a reminder of the PR. So we are almost good to go. We tackle the open issues, like created a specification for the plugin that we're missing. And Jay tackled most of the comments. So just a reminder for a last review.
Yeah, I think one of the big open items was how we wanted to group these tests. And if that's been addressed, I think that's.
Group? I don't know. Do we have a group? Do we have a comment there? We can definitely dig into it.
Or I mean, like if we wanted to have how we wanted to specify them, if we wanted to have the Sony Buoy plugin or not.
Oh yeah, me and James and Amin were fighting about that last week. or I was
I was
fighting
in there
that.
too. Yeah.
I think the conclusion was everybody agreed on Sonobui, which is fine. I think totally. Like, I think that's great. I didn't want to be the advocate for that since, you know, I've been at VMware for so long and I've always been a Sonobui advocate. I felt like it would be weird, but if other folks who aren't at VMware are like, yeah, let's do it in Sonobui, I think that's a great solution, of course, for sure.
Yeah, there's a conversation about this in the SIG-Windows Slack channel for people who would like some more background there,
Yeah.
and possibly a link in this cap.
Yeah,
It sounds
so
like
I
it's
added
better.
this statement in the cap that we are going to move with Sonobui Blue.
Okay.
And there's
Okay,
no
great, yes.
limited to CNCF. That's how most of the CNCF distribution testing is happening, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea for sure. So if folks like you, Ravi, or James, or Mark, you know, also agree, and yeah, I mean, I think
What's the disadvantage of, or what's the alternative to Sonobui?
Keeping very big regexes in a YAML file somewhere.
well, Muzz, you're gonna find out because you and me are gonna like build that plugin together. Remember?
Yes, I'm
Don't
super
worry.
okay. Yeah, because I don't know. I keep hearing about the Sonobui. That's why I want to, try coding with you and like contribute to this cap. But I don't know what the alternative is. What I'm trying to say. Is that even a question?
The alternative would be to, and this is the thing that I was talking about last week, and is the alternative would be that we build our own tool that in our own like set of like definitions and stuff inside that tool, for reporting and all that stuff. And then we like version the tool and all that. But like Sonobui kind of does that, a lot of that for you. Like it sort of has this is the Kubernetes version that this tool works with. It has semantics for that embedded into it. So we just be reinventing a lot of that wheel, of.
And I think Sonobui still takes a regex to run a subset of tests. And if we keep that regex out of the, like as a lookup somewhere that can be versioned and everything, then somebody could take EDE test and potentially run the same set of tests manually if they wanted to. But the Sonobui would be able to let you say like, Sonobui run Windows base, run Windows host process tests. It would just be a very clean, simple way to interact with these things.
Yeah, to like group them into buckets and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Sonobui is just a wrapper to the E2E tests, ultimately, at the end of the day, right? So what James said, right? It packages the logs for you. It allows you to build plugins that can wrap all the command line options to Ginkgo so you can add, more behavior that we care about that's specific to Windows without embedding that in the test code and so on.
So is it like the larger community is pretty dependent on Sonobui, right? And that's not going away anytime soon. So I guess, I mean, it sounds pretty cool to create your own tool, but we don't want to be distracted by it too much.
Mm-hmm.
The conformance tests use Sonobui, don't they?
Yeah, I don't think Sonobui is going away.
Yeah, Sonobui is not going anywhere.
Okay, let's
I
do
agree.
it.
I like building my own tools too, but we were outvoted this time, but we still get to build our own tool because we're going to build a Sonobui plugin. We just have to play by Sonobui rules.
All right. Yeah. So for this, sorry. I mean, and folks, that I think this has been a little bit slow to review. Hopefully, with code freeze coming, but folks, like I know I'll have more time to dedicate to this, and we can get this merged. So thank you for working on this. I think this is important. Anything?
Cool. So you think we can get this merged for this?
Well, I like getting it merged and getting it into the 124 release are
Separate,
like we can always merge it in a provisional. We can always merge it in a provisional state. So it's
Oh
mostly
yeah.
that. and then they could just come back and update it to the like update milestones and things to get it into the 124 release.
Cool, yeah. For us being able to celebrate that we got it merged that'd be cool. We'd be happy about that. Party.
I did want to spend a little bit of time too, since we are kind of the 123 release is entering code freeze pretty soon, to at least start planting some seeds about what some of the SIG-Windows priorities are for 124, so that we can start like looking at them, figuring out resources for working on those different initiatives and everything. I threw out a couple of ideas here that we can expand on a little bit, but everybody feel free to either add to them, think about these. We're probably discussing this in more community meetings, especially later in the 124 or early on the 124 release and later in the 123 release. We're going to continue the enhancements that we have here. So I don't think we need to talk about a lot of that. But outside of the existing enhancements, which are going on, like the OS field host process containers, the node service log viewer, I think that now is getting to a point where we need to start focusing and improving some of the capacity story for Windows, and things like there's been a kind of a trickle of PRs, like the PRs that James has to improve performance when nodes are under high density, and everything like that. But Windows still doesn't support eviction. I think that's kind of going to be important for the maturity of Windows container workloads and Kubernetes and everything like that. Does anybody have any thoughts or concerns about that being kind of becoming one of the major themes of some of the SIG-Windows work?
That all makes sense to me.
And I guess also for like folks who interact with either customers or yourself more, are you guys seeing issues with kind of capacity and density on Windows? I know in kind of in Azure, we occasionally do, hence some of the issues of PRs and the kind of motivation for this work. I'm curious if you all see this as well.
I think we see 10-fold difference. Like you can put 10 times as many containers, Linux containers on a node as you can Windows ones, all other things being equal. Is that roughly what you're seeing?
I think, yeah, it depends on like the node size too. We're seeing that things definitely are not as happy when people try and over provision, greatly over provision machines on Linux. I think it's kind of expected that you can over provision, and hopefully like workloads won't get starved out if necessary, or they'll get moved to other nodes, or scaled appropriately, and that doesn't work as smoothly on Windows. And the density. How can we improve the density? How can we improve startup times and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, we can continue to kind of talk about this and see some specifics. Another area of feedback that I think we've touched on a little bit, and there's been a couple of attempts to, some work on this, but docs. Today, for Windows, we have kind of one really big page on the Kubernetes website that has a whole lot of information about everything Windows related, and I think it's kind of hard to consume or find in individual pieces of information. And then there's a couple of other, and then some of the Windows documentation is kind of thrown in with the other docs here. I'm wondering if people are people satisfied with the current documentation for Windows? Should we work on breaking that up? Is that something that people would be interested in helping out with? It's potentially splitting that up and making it more consumable and everything. I think, Muzz, you've had some comments on this in the past. I know Tim Bannister did a good job kind of overhauling the existing massive intro to Windows page. I think that there's still room for some improvement possibly there.
Yeah, there were a couple of questions recently, I think both at KubeCon and from customers who were trying to do their own Kubernetes for Windows, and they were asking if NetApp has a CSI proxy or not. And then there were a couple of questions like that, which I felt like the infrastructure providers have it covered pretty well for their own thing. But if somebody is looking just at Kubernetes Windows, they don't get a full picture of like what's available, what's not available. And I was thinking like we could have a couple, an effort in 124 where a couple of folks could come in and like try to reorganize the docs a little bit, and maybe open it to feedback, like a little bit of overhaul of docs.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I have a quick, I got to drop for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then I can come back for the pairing because I have a 15-minute Scrum meeting thing I have to do today. Does anybody want to pair after this, or do we want to skip today? I'm definitely down to do it. I just can't do the, just got to drop.
I'm probably going to drop for SIG node.
Okay.
And then if it looked like the agenda was pretty short, but I did want to join, and I can come back to the pairing session if folks are interested.
I'll leave the Zoom open. If folks hang out, I'll come back. So, but I'll just be gone for a while.
Okay. No problem. I see James added, or somebody, is that you, James? Added kubeadm and kubeproxy images. I guess we can briefly talk about that and then end the meeting.
Yeah, I just, we've had the kubeadm kept open for several releases now. I think we got it to beta or something. And now that we have host process, we can get this working fairly cleanly, I think. And so I was thinking that should be a good priority for our next one. I think it'll reduce a lot of the noise that we get that comes in from the docs, because kubeadm stuff there now sort of works in some situations, and this should help reduce that type of questions and folks setting this up. So it also improves the whole kubeadm situation for cluster API.
Yeah, my thoughts on that are, since I was thinking about this too, for kubeadm, since it is taking a dependency on host process containers, I want, like, I think we can work on that, but we probably shouldn't pursue. I think that we said that was in beta. That should probably stay in beta for as long as host process containers are in beta. But things like running, kubeproxy as a daemon set, I think are things that we can definitely pursue at running as host process containers. And I think that there's also a lot of opportunity to find other projects that could benefit from, or that like don't have Windows support because there wasn't a privileged containers kind of equivalent that we can start integrating with, like Prometheus, the node exporter, and things like that. So
is the goal to have those artifacts hosted by Kubernetes registry?
I think that it would be nice to have those artifacts hosted by whatever like org they have. So like the Prometheus ones would be hosted alongside, the Linux node exporter ones, but for kubeproxy, probably yes, hosted next to the existing kubeproxy images that Kubernetes project builds.
I would like to be right into the build process. Right when we build the kubeproxy Linux image, we build the Windows image right alongside of it.
Yeah, I think we can do something similar with it with the pause image and the other images as well. We can use the same pipelines. I think I can take a look at the kubeproxy one.
Yeah, I have the kubeproxy stuff that I did in the SIG-Windows tools project. So we can probably take that and clean it up and improve it and get it in there.
If you can send a link. And as far as I can tell, since this is going to be in a privileged container, we only have to build one image, not n images for every single OS versions, because it doesn't matter for privileged containers.
Yeah, yes and no, they work, but if it is beneficial to have all the different container images so that just so you're not pulling the layers for the other ones.
Ah.
But
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. Although someone once said that it might be possible to have an almost scratch-like Windows image for privileged containers.
yeah, I think that's still being discussed. Brendan is a good point of contact for that.
But I think that's something for the future. I think
Mhm.
then for the first iteration, we can just build for all OS versions that we support.
Mhm.
Yeah, James, if you can link me that later, I can take a look as well.
All right, everybody, I need to drop. I'm going to make Jay the host for when he comes back, but anybody feel free to stay on and
Yeah, if you can make me the host too, then
okay,
anybody stays, I can.
okay, I'm going to stop recording and then I will do that.